I blew my radiator, had to call a tow truck, got it towed to a mechanic shop, had a $3,000 bill, lost $1,000 of revenue because I had to have the load repowered. When the guy showed up to repower the load, the driver was a foreign driver who spoke almost no English. His MC number was active for like 2 months, and they had 300 trucks and had a very bad inspection rating. I then got the truck fixed, raced down to Reno to go get my trailer, got there, finally grabbed the trailer, and I ended up delivering it on time anyway because the shop managed to fix it within a few hours, so the repowering was totally unnecessary to begin with. And I didn't get hardly any sleep. Yeah, so yesterday, pretty much worst day I've ever had in trucking. I think pretty clearly. Which really sucked because it was shaping up to be a really good week. Good week of revenue, just a good week of trucking all around. Had about $7,700 of revenue coming my way, and just no major maintenance issues, nothing like that until this happened. Had about $3,000 carry over from last week, and then another $4,000 for the load I was on. So I was on a load. I picked it up in Akron, Ohio, going to Reno, Nevada, specifically Minden, Nevada. Picked it up in Akron, however you say it, Akron, Ohio. Going smoothly, just right across the 80, just having a good old time. No problems whatsoever, just chilling. Very nice. Get it basically all the way to Salt Lake. So I was climbing the hill right before Salt Lake. So if you're going east or west, there is the mountain range that you have to climb over, and then it goes to Salt Lake. That's pretty much the only mountain range on this entire route. It is the only mountain range on the entire route. There's a few hills in Nevada, but I wouldn't call them mountains, not like this. So climbing up it, get to the top, no issues. Start coming back down. I'm going down the hill for maybe 20 seconds, and then it just starts raining all over my windshield, steam coming out of the engine, and I immediately knew I just blew my radiator. So pulled over immediately. Pulled over immediately. Got to the side of the road, pulled out the cones, looked at the engine, and it's just blasting out of there. It was a big old hole. So truck is a 2020, which probably means it was actually, people started driving it in 2019. I bought it used. So radiator lasted about 6 years, which is not the longest. They usually last a little longer than that, but this one was run in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Phoenix a lot when I first picked it up, so it was run in hot weather. So the fact that it blew up after 6 years isn't totally surprising. A lot of hot weather in there, so it is what it is. But blew up. I'm like, all right, damn it. So immediately let the broker know, hey, truck just blew a radiator. And this load was a high value load. And it had to be on time. And part of the contract on this one was that they could repower it. So he immediately sent me a message like, oh, I paid $4,000 for this, blah, 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 and now you got... It's like, what do you want me to do, bro? What do you want me to do? Put my finger in the freaking hole and refill it? I mean, my radiator blew. Giant hole in it. Not like I did it on purpose. So, if it had happened on a regular load, that wouldn't have been an issue. But what makes this story a true nightmare tale is I was on a high value load that had to be delivered on time, and the broker did have the option to repower the load, which is not normally something that is very normal. Normally you just reschedule the appointment, but not this one. Nope, not this one. So pulled it off to the road, let the broker know what was going on, called a tow truck. Tow truck was quick. They were out there maybe, I say within an hour. Hooked it up. I was only about 20 miles from Salt Lake, so that was good. So the tow only cost me about $900. So that was good. Towed it to a place called Precision Truck and Trailer Repair. They had really good reviews on Google. I got it there. They pretty much took it right in and started working on it right away. They weren't sure if they can get it done that day or the day after, so I couldn't guarantee that I was going to deliver the load on time. So that was sweet. Quoted me $3,100 to repair it, so it's $3,100 for the repair and $900 for the tow job. Like, all right, what am I gonna do? So talking to the broker, and he called up another driver to get it repowered. So this driver, you know, it's my trailer, so this guy's gonna take my trailer now, and it's just okay. That's scary because trailers do get stolen a lot. It's very common. So the guy showed up, hardly spoke any English. He was pretty new, I could tell. I think he'd been driving less than a year. I didn't ask him, but it was clear he was new, which is also sweet. Not. So we started looking around the trailer. He's inspecting it. I'm making sure everything's good. And then as we're almost getting ready, I notice that there is a nail in one of the tires. I picked up the nail in the lot there. I had to have. I don't think there's a chance I picked it up on the freeway. So I was leaking air. Went to the shop, and they're like, yeah, we got a guy. They called up they don't do it themselves. They just call up the tire mart. Guy came out there in 15 minutes, threw another tire on there. He threw a used tire on there, and so they just threw a new tire on there. Luckily, the tire that did get blown was on the outside, and it was one of my worst tires, so it wasn't a big deal. He threw on another tire, a used tire, but the tires were almost equal, and the shop there said they would cover the cost of the tire because I picked it up in their lot. So that was kind of nice of them, but it was just another giant, like, oh my gosh, thing I had to deal with. So it got fixed within a half hour. Handed the paperwork over to the guy, and I just like crossed my fingers. All right, you know, go deliver it. It's about 500 miles. I got his phone number and everything. And I also told TQL to keep tracking the guy until I got my trailer back in case he tried to steal it, which does happen. I didn't have a tracker on the trailer. I should probably get one. I've only been my authority's only been active for about 5 months. It was kind of on the to-do list to get a tracker for the trailer. I never did it because I never envisioned I would actually have to repower my trailer. Very rare event, but I had to. Anyways, I didn't have a tracker on the trailer. I still don't. I should probably go get one. So I had TQO, like, make sure you keep tracking this guy after he delivers my load. Do not end it. But took his phone number, and then he took off. Then truck got repaired, and basically I had time to get down to Reno before the delivery date. So I just hightailed it down to Reno, and then I met the guy there. It didn't need to get repowered because I would have delivered it on time, but I just couldn't guarantee I was going to be able to do it because I didn't know how long the repair was going to take, and neither did the mechanics. So just made a beeline from Salt Lake all the way to Reno, just hauling ass, bobtailing down there because I want to be at the facility at this point before the guy gets there, because I'm just going to take my trailer back and I'm going to unload it for free. I want my trailer back. I do not want this guy stealing my trailer. I do not want him crashing the trailer. I don't want him doing anything else. Oh, because what can happen is his dispatcher tells him, yeah, just take that trailer and go do this live load real quick to God knows where, Texas or whatever, and then what do I do? I can't find my trailer. It's a wild goose chase all across the damn country. So, make a beeline for Reno. I beat the guy. Well, I don't beat the guy there, but he stopped for the night because it was delivered in the morning. I made a beeline there. I met him at the facility. He dropped the trailer. I hooked up to it, and then I got it delivered on time. So I didn't even need to repower it. And the repowering cost me $1,000 because that's how much the broker paid that carrier to repower it. Which, okay, I had to pay that. So I lost $1,000 there, lost $900 for the repair job, for the tow job, and then $3,100 for the repair job. not to mention an entire day, not to mention one giant headache. So that was awful. So in the end, it cost me like $5,000 a day lost and just a headache. But I do have a new radiator, so that's good. It should last for basically the lifespan of the truck at this point, so that's good, kind of. But that was just awful. That was just a nightmare because the week was looking up. It was really shaping up to be an excellent week. I had a load carryover from last week for $3,700 of revenue, and then I grabbed this one for $4,000 heading to Reno, which is right next to some of my family lives in the area, so I was also going to get to visit family for a bit, so that was nice. But none of that happened because the $5,000 just destroyed all the revenue. I lost like $200. I already did the math. I lost like $200 this week. And then, I had to just the stress of potentially my trailer getting stolen or the guy crashing it, the pissed off broker, the tire job, the repair job, the lack of sleep, having to beeline to Reno, the unload. It's just like, oh my gosh. So that was awful. That was the worst experience so far I've had in trucking. I mean, nobody got hurt. I didn't crash the truck. I'm back on the road. It did cost me a day. So it could have been a lot worse, trying to look at the bright side. And I guess I do have a new radiator. But that was awful. That was awful. Just terrible day. And it was I think part of it was the week was looking so good. I was looking, oh man, this is going to be a great week. It was looking so good. Everything was shaping up nicely. I was having some great runs, and then bam, radiator blows on a high value load. So, yeah, really just took the wind out of my sails. And that was like, I was having some dark thoughts as I was racing to go get my trailer on the way to Reno. I'm like, man, this ain't worth it, As I'm running, I'm just like, man, this ain't worth it. Like, this is not worth it. And, I was like, man, maybe I should, there are some local jobs, delivering fuel or whatever, just company driving even. I'm like, man, that'd be better. And right now, yeah, things need to get better. I need to stop blowing tires. I need to stop blowing radiators. My cost per mile right now for maintenance is like 30 cents per mile, which is insane. So that's a big problem right now. And yeah, but I was having some dark thoughts there. Today, a little better. Got the truck back on the road, and I did manage to grab a load. It was Friday when I delivered that load, so I managed to deliver the load Friday morning, and then I was ready for another load. So that was kind of nice. I mean, kind of helped. And it got a little bit better because the facility I was dropping at, I happened to book another load at the facility. So it was the Starbucks in Minden, Nevada, if you guys are familiar with it. That's where it was going. And then I booked another load through TQL again, and it happened to be at the exact same place. So that was kind of nice, and now I'm going to North Carolina. So that was kind of nice, I guess. So it paid decently for this market anyway. It was $4,000 to go to North Carolina. So okay. But man, that was awful, and that was one of those times where you're just like, maybe this isn't worth it. There's some real thoughts there, and I guess maybe it's not worth it right now. Like, this market is so bad, it's not worth it right now. I keep having optimism that things will get better. I was hoping they would get better at Landstar. They didn't improve. Then I got my authority active. I'm like, oh, hopefully they'll get better. I think I have seen some improvement lately, I think. So that's interesting. The load to truck ratio according to DAT is going up. The rates are slightly going up, so that's kind of nice. So maybe things are finally turning around, but they need to turn around. And I'm not going to lie, if this continues into next year or whatever, yeah, I'm going to throw in the towel. That's just not worth it. I'll just go be a company driver and deliver locally for fuel and be home every day, or something like that. Because right now it's not worth it, but I continue to think that it will get better, and over the course of a year or two, it will pay off. But that one had me in some dark places. It was such a high mark. I was having such a good week. Then the radiator blows, and that entire shit show, just a clusterfuck, really got me there. That was just really bad. So that sucked bad. That sucked real bad. And that made me start thinking about throwing the towel. Now, I'm not going to. Gonna keep rolling. Gonna keep rolling. We'll see how the end of the year goes. Definitely roll into next year. We're gonna keep rolling, but that one was one of those times where, you know, it really makes you think about it. But I think that's pretty normal in most jobs, right? Like, when you work at any position, any job, if it is really kind of making you pull your hair out every now and then and really challenging you in some ways, that's okay, right? Like, if I was working in an office, like, if I thought, oh, maybe one of the dark thoughts I had was like, oh, maybe I'll just go be a dispatcher or like a broker or something. Just go to the dark side, you know? Maybe I'll just go do that instead, you know? But then it's always like, okay, those guys get, you know, they pull their hair out sometimes too, right? Then maybe it's not quite as bad as trucking, right? But, you know, they're in the office, they're sitting there in a cubicle, they got to deal with HR, they got to deal with complaints, they got to deal with, you know, problems like that. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows in any position. So I think any position where it, you know, really makes you think, maybe, man, maybe it's not worth it, or, you know, maybe it's more difficult. Maybe it's just you're having a bad day, right? You're always going to have a bad day in basically any position. And there's a psychological thing where, like, you want to have bad days every now and then, because if you never have a bad day, then that just makes the job really boring, right? You want bad days, you want good days, you want okay days, you want kind of all over the place. And that was most certainly a terrible day, and I think by a significant margin, that was the worst day I've had in trucking. Could have definitely been worse. I could have crashed the truck. I could have been seriously injured. Someone could have died, but that was pretty bad. Just all in all, just a really bad day. But gonna keep at it. I figure, you know, if I just keep going, I'm just gonna keep going, and well, things should turn around. But that was a bad day. It cost me a lot of money, set me back quite a bit. But at least I got a new radiator. Yeah. That's it. Bye.